I'm sorry, Saquon fans. I still have Josh Allen as my MVP. In fact, I think Josh Allen separated a bit in MVP race today with his performance out here in LA. But that all could change dramatically 1 week from today at 4:15 Eastern Time when we've got Pittsburgh at Philadelphia, when we've got Buffalo at Detroit. It's going to be an all-time MVP head-to-head battle of those two games going on at the same time. I'll detail both in just a moment. But I'm here to tell you that I take nothing away from Saquon today against Carolina at home. Carolina's come alive. They have an underrated defense. They've almost giant killed Tampa and almost got Philly today at home. Bryce Young threw a beautiful, should have been touchdown pass to Leggett at the goal line. He dropped it. It could have won the game late in the game. And Saquon was pretty great. He ran 20 times for 124 yards. But it was a quiet day for him. I don't remember anything spectacular. He was just pretty great because he's been pretty great all year. I give you that. But he caught no balls today, which shocked me and shook me because that's just wrong. They only threw him one ball. He caught none for none. You've got to get him in space. You got to get him loose. I think that hurt Philadelphia, and I think that needs to get fixed before Pittsburgh comes to town next Sunday. So I'm not saying that Saquon himself lost any ground in the MVP race. I'm just here to tell you, Josh Allen knocked my socks off out here in LA today. He went Hollywood on Hollywood. Want to talk about a beast. Want to talk about a force. Even in a loss, he was spectacular. I think he actually gained a bit on Saquon in the MVP race in a loss. And the only reason they lost that game, visiting Buffalo Bills, was simply because they got a punt blocked early in the second quarter and it was returned for a touchdown. It's what I call a tumultuous turnover. Punt gets blocked, and it gets scooped, and it gets scored. When you're up against Matt Stafford, who may be the best pure thrower of the football ever. People have told me that for years. Best spinner of the football ever. When he's at his hottest, and Puka and Cooper Kupp are at their greatest and hottest, you can't stop them because you can't even slow them down. So they're going to go for 44 on a Bills defense that's been decimated from the start of the year. On a Bills defense that lost 2 more DBs today. They're going to go up and down the field. And if you give them a +7 with a block, punt, scoop, and score, you're going to be playing uphill the whole game. And that's what happened, 44-42. But Josh Allen threw 3 touchdown passes and ran for 3 touchdowns. No one's ever done that before. He threw for 342 yards, and he was at least as unstoppable as Matthew Stafford was. And everybody said he's going to get exposed this year without Stephon Diggs, his go-to receiver, his security blanket, his one true superstar. The receiver who made Josh Allen all those years, they finally got sick and tired of. They said, enough. He's more trouble than he's worth. We're going to ship him to the Texans. And we didn't get to see what impact Stephon Diggs could have had on the Texans. He got hurt this year. God bless him in a speedy recovery. But we did get to see Josh Allen without Stephon. And now without Dalton Kincaid, a tight end I campaigned for the Cowboys to draft. 342 yards without those two today at LA, prime time, late window, Fox game, Tom Brady, oohing and aahing over everything that Josh Allen did. 6'5", 240, he ran 10 times for 82 yards. When he gets untracked, the man can fly for 6'5", 240. He can outrun any defensive end, defensive tackle, obviously, most linebackers. He can make you miss. He can daredevil. I used to not like him because he was a turnover machine. I used to crush him on television because turnovers just won't work in this league. And going into this year, he had the most turnovers since he entered the league. Just a year ago, he had his career high, 22 turnovers. You can't win that way. You just can't it's just too many. And this year, right before your very eyes, he's grown up. He's become a man as a quarterback, a man as a leader, a man as a playmaker, and a man as a non-turnover maker. That's what he is. He does not turn the ball over. The most beautiful thing about today for Josh Allen, he didn't have one turnover in a wild shootout in which you're taking chance after high-risk chance. He didn't have one single turnover. For the year, he's got 5 interceptions and 2 lost fumbles. That's 7 total turnovers. 7. He had 22 last year. Why do you think the Bills are so... I know they lost today, but why are they what they are right now? It's just because of him. And yes, I value the quarterback position a little more than the running back position. I take nothing away from Saquon, but my God. The quarterback is just asked to do so much more, especially if you're Josh Allen playing for these Bills. With that defense and that average receiver, I know they got Amari. By the way, that was outrageous uncalled pass interference. I don't care what my man Mike Pereira said late in the game. Amari gets grabbed and pulled and it didn't impede him, but Josh overcame it. Josh still went down and scored. On quarterback sneaks, they do the push touch. They don't even need to push. 6'5", 240 just either goes over the top or he burrows underneath and just makes his own hole, makes his own yards. And I respect what Saquon's become for Philadelphia because in New York, he was all flash and dash. I never loved him in New York as a Giant. Never bothered my Cowboys whatsoever. Never threatened me as a Cowboy fan whatsoever. He would hit the occasional home run, but he didn't do singles and doubles. Now he does singles and doubles. Now he makes his own holes. That was a very workmanlike 124 he got today against, again, an underrated, pretty good defense. He didn't lose any ground in the MVP race, but Josh Allen, in a loss, actually gained a little bit in my book just because he is a quarterback and he was playing against a crazy hot quarterback out here in Hollywood, and he outplayed him. I thought he had the better game today. And they lost because of a blocked punt. So let's just hold off. I'm keeping Josh just ahead. And let's see what happens next Sunday. Because guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We got Buffalo at Detroit. Detroit is second in points allowed. Pro Football Focus rates them the second best defense in pro football. You don't think that's going to be a test for Josh? Against that offense that is truly unstoppable on that carpet, it's going to be another 44-42. If Josh Allen comes out on top 44-42, he'll be my MVP. I think this will decide MVP next Sunday because after this, the games get considerably easier, certainly for the Bills, because then they got New England at home, Jets at home, at New England. That's their finish. So this is Josh Allen's MVP opportunity to make one big statement against that defense on that turf, up against that offense, that quarterback, those receivers, those 2 running backs in Detroit. You pull that off, you got me. You got my vote. But meanwhile in Philadelphia, here come the Pittsburgh Steelers, the 10-3 Pittsburgh Steelers. They won again today, took care of business against Cleveland, that can giant kill in that division, as we've seen, Ravens have seen. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 4th against the run in the National Football League. Pro Football Focus ranks them the 3rd best overall defense. If Saquon can go, I don't know, let's just give him these same numbers, 20 for 124. If the Eagles win that game, then you got me. Let's see them. I'm going to have my 2 giant screens up right before your very eyes, my 2 giant screens before my very eyes, watching Saquon versus Josh versus Saquon versus Josh. I think these will be two great games, one low scoring, one very high scoring. And let's see who pulls it off. Let's see who goes Hollywood at Detroit and who goes Hollywood in Philly against the Steelers. Let's see who makes the strongest, boldest, loudest MVP statement 1 week from today in those two games, games of the year type games, head to head, MVP on the line. I got Josh right now. I'm open for business next week. If Saquon pulls it off, if they beat Pittsburgh and he goes for over 100 against Pittsburgh, you got me, Saquon fans.